You're listening to the Live Free podcast. I'm your host, Christine, certified life coach, pain to power mentor, and creator of Embody You Mindset Mastery School. I'm here today to discuss living life after disease, disaster, or adversity, to discuss living life fully once again, a life of hope, peace, and resiliency, a life fully embodied. I utilize the lessons that I learned going through not one, but two primary cancers. I'm here today to guide you to the life of your dreams, turn your pain into power, and lead you back to yourself. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Live Free podcast. Today I want to talk about what it is to be a woman. I want to talk about our innate power and our possibility. And the inspiration for this podcast was and is the most recent weekend that I spent at a women's only retreat. And it was extraordinary. I came out just feeling like $1 million, like feeling so proud to be a woman, being so proud to be fully embodied in this body and to have this path and this gender. And so I want to talk a little bit about the female mechanics, the literacy around just truly being a woman and what all comes with that. So to give you some context, this women's retreat that I recently went to, it got a lot of backlash because it was specifically for females only. And so there was so many people that were choosing to be very forthcoming with their opinions of the exclusivity of only having women allowed as opposed to women and men or women and people who identify as women and all of those types of things. And while I reserve no judgment whether for or against whether that is or is not correct, I did, however, understand once I got there what was the reasoning. And the reasoning was because all of the sessions that we went through, they were truly based around the anatomy, the background, the historic oppressions and pressures, and all of those sorts of things of women specifically. And, not to say that there isn't a need for a men specifically outreach like that, some sort of weekend that would talk about their, anatomy and the oppression for men and those types of things. It's not that saying that isn't necessary. And then same with all of the other, there's so many of them to list here, LGBTQ, the Two-Spirit, all of these beautiful choices that human beings are making to be more true to themselves. There's not to say that there isn't a weekend that should be available for them and all of the pressures that they go through. But this episode is specifically around this women's retreat and some of the things that I learned that I would like to impart on you, the woman who is listening. So some of the things that we went through throughout the weekend, and I just got to say, you guys, just coming away from this weekend, I feel like I'm floating. It was so overwhelmingly beautiful. To get in touch with that femininity piece, with that, what it is to be a biological woman and all of those sorts of things. And it was just things that I just didn't really think about and haven't really thought about in this much context. It was so free. It was so beautiful. It was so liberated. And, that piece has been really missing from my life. And I must admit, I fancy myself a pretty free spirit. I fancy myself pretty unapologetic. Of course, I create courses around this. But when I got there, I realized that there was some areas that I was holding tension, that I was holding back. And I took the opportunity to let those out. So it was really quite beautiful. So some of the processes that we went through is we went through like ecstatic dance, where you follow the flow of the music. We went through grief ceremonies where you grieve some of the pains that you have been through, or some of the sadness. We had alchemizing rage, which, let me tell you, was insane, where we as women were able to let out all of that anger that we're not allowed to let out. It's not appropriate. It's appropriate for men to have anger, but it's not appropriate for women to have anger. And so it was beautiful to just let out that anger, and it was loud and it was beautiful. And then outside of that, some of the other liberating and beautiful experiences that we went through was conversations around womb space, birth, breastfeeding, around body literacy, the female orgasm. There were so much liberation around how, breasts are for life and are our gift to enjoy, but do not need to be sexualized, and can be just part of you, and can be beautiful, and can be everything that they need to be. And so all of these different modalities, all these just different literacies that, as I said, I didn't realize I had been kind of holding on tightly, were really, really let out in this beautiful, safe, and very supportive space where everyone was allowed to really settle in. And then we had some other beautiful ceremonies as well, like we had gong bath and yoga and all the typical women's retreat style stuff, which was so beautiful as well, and it was so necessary. So what can I really help you with? What can I really open up for you, the listener? I invite you to, through my experiences this past weekend, to start to look within yourself. Where are there areas where you're holding on tightly? I didn't even realize I had some of these shames until I was there. Do you have shame around the fact that you have breasts? Like, be cognizant of the fact that I'm saying the word breasts. Does it feel icky in your body? Does it feel shameful? Does it feel like something you should turn down the radio for because maybe you have children in the car? These are the things that I want you to be thinking about. Is this a dirty word for you? When I say that it's appropriate for you to feel rage, what are your thoughts behind that? Or when I say that your orgasm is yours and that you can enjoy, you get to be in your fantasy, you get to explore and be unapologetic about your needs. What does that trigger within you? And so if you are feeling like many of us do, this kind of tightness, this kind of, that's not an area that I really want to explore, that's not an area that I really want to be open about, then understand that you may have some blockages in that area, just like I did coming into this process. And when in the safe space, I felt that I could have these conversations. I felt that I could be real and open and honest about these things that I have always felt that I was fairly liberated on, that I have always felt that I was fairly understanding and open about, and that I was very literate in this way. Come to find out, when there's 50 women in a circle and you're talking about these things, I was bashful, surprisingly bashful. And so I invite you through this conversation today to start to understand and kind of delve into yourself about the areas that you are shameful, the areas that you are not willing to turn towards, but you want to instead turn away. Because what would be possible for you if you felt liberated in this way? If you felt that sex wasn't a dirty thing, if you felt that asking for your fantasies wasn't shameful, if you felt that massaging your breasts was not weird, how could things change for you? How could you move into that more divine feminine? Because we are taught that it is not allowed, it is not okay, and it's kind of dirty. That our bodies should be something that we hide, but show enough skin that people are interested, but not too much so that you give away the farm. Right? Or when in the case of pornography and all of these sorts of things, we have this unrealistic idea about what sex looks like, and passion and love, and the way that your body bends, and the fact that you have a crease there, or a bubble there, or a cellulite there. We have created this romanticized version of what it is to be a woman. You know, she's hairless but grows hair. She's quiet but kinky behind closed doors. She's shrunk and timid, but yet powerful and strong. Maybe she's too emotional, with a negative context. Maybe she's too weak. Maybe she needs a man. We have all of these different things coming at us at all times, all the time, bombarding us, making us feel like we're not enough. You can't turn on the TV with some type of explanation of why you need to lose weight, or be smaller, or be fitter. You can't listen to the radio without an ad about how, I'm reminded of this of the 50s where she's wearing a corset and holding a talcum powder and it's like keep yourself dry down there, or whatever. I mean, moisture is part of what makes sex so enjoyable. Why are we dimming that? Why are we being told to freshen that? All of these things, right? And so it's throughout your life as a woman, you are taught to shrink, because then otherwise you're bossy, otherwise you're too much. We all have this we all have this idea in our head of the too much aunt, who's too loud, too TMI, talks too much, is too forthcoming, is too bossy. There's this, or some people call it the Karen, or whatever. And so another reason that we're just constantly brought down and meant to be smaller, because of all of these ideations that say that we can't be fully embodied. And so whether it is your sensuality, your body, your literacy, your rage, your bossiness, your ability to know what you want, all of those things have been dimmed. And so we try our best to be a dim, but yet still very calculated, put together woman that's liked by everybody, but still follows her dreams. And we get into all of these tight spots because this doesn't match, right? Like the foundation that you're standing on is crumbling. And so by the very force of the fact that this model doesn't work, the foundation crumbles. You make decisions to look for men to complete you. And then we get into all of these troublesome areas where we give away our power to men, especially in our 20s, especially when we come out of high school and we want so badly to be loved. So we give away our bodies. And then we feel shame because slut shaming and all of these things, how dare you explore sensuality and sexuality. So then you feel guilt because you're meant to be this perfect woman who has no sexual desires, but yet is clean and primed and prim and proper. But also once you have a husband, you're supposed to be this sexual being. Do you see what I'm saying? Like there's so much hypocrisy in all of these things. And so the foundation crumbles because you cannot be embodied. You cannot be powerful. You cannot be everything that you want to be without the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is the love of your body, which is allowing rage to come through, which is allowing grief to pass through in whatever way it needs to pass through. It's allowing these sensual and sexual desires that you have to be okay. It's not needing to cover up, or the opposite. It's not needing to stay covered. It's about being whatever the fuck. And I was like, should I say it? I'm gonna say it. You want to be. Truly. And being totally embodied, and being in your passion, and being in your purpose, and being messy and full of hair if you want, and not showered if you don't want, and just being. Is it for you? Every decision that you make, is it for you or is it for society? I want you to start making decisions for you. Society says that you should be slim. Is that for you? Or is that for society? If you being fit and strong and powerful and healthy is something that you want, then go for that. But if being slim is your goal, chances are that's for society. If showing a little skin doesn't make you feel good, it doesn't make you feel sensual, then that is for society. If covering up, even though you want to show a little skin, is because you don't want to be perceived as too much or slutty, then that's for society. I want you to start making decisions for you. To start being you, in your isness, in your fullness, in your full expression. And I think I'll leave you there. Just know that I'm always going to be here for you. I am always going to be here building you up and allowing you to be unapologetic about every single part of you, physical and non-physical. So all my love, I hope this has been illuminating and not too uncomfortable. And if so, just know that discomfort means that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. So allow that discomfort in and move through. All my love. We'll talk soon. And I should mention that if you're wanting to break through some of these patterns, if you're wanting to come out to the other side and you need a beginner's look and journey through this process, then I highly recommend Embody Your Body. This one is a 5-part series. I believe it's done over 10 days that is all around meditation, body love, vitality foods, joyful movement, and finally sensuality, sexuality. None of it is diet focused. None of it is shame focused. It's all about vitality. It's all about self-love. It's all about self-care. So if that's something that you're feeling called to, then I will link that in the show notes. Okay? All right. All my love. Thank you so much for listening. If you found expansion with this last episode, then that means that others will too. And the best way to get the word out about the podcast is by leaving a review. I would be so grateful if you could leave me a review and let me know how you felt about the podcast. Included in the show notes will be everything that we talked about today, including all of my transformative programs. Change is just on the horizon, my friend.